Stop what you are doing right now because everything you have been told about gut health is incomplete. And if you are over the age of 60, the consequences of not knowing this information could be silently costing you your energy, your mobility, your mental sharpness, and ultimately your independence. Today, I am going to share with you the most powerful morning drink protocol that is genuinely transforming the gut health of seniors all across this country. And I am going to count it down from number 5 all the way to the single most potent morning ritual I have ever encountered in my 30 years of clinical practice. The number 1 item on this list is something that almost nobody in mainstream medicine is talking about, and by the time we get there, I promise you, you are going to be genuinely surprised. My name is Dr. Lee. I am a physician, scientist, and author who has spent decades studying exactly how food and beverages interact with the human body at the cellular level, specifically in aging adults. This is not general wellness advice. This is targeted, evidence-based science applied to the biology of the aging gut. And I want to start today with a remarkable study published by researchers at the Karolinska Institute in Sweden. This study followed over 4,000 adults between the ages of 60 and 85 for a period of 7 full years. What they found stopped me completely in my tracks. Adults who consistently consumed specific anti-inflammatory morning beverages showed 42% less intestinal permeability, what doctors refer to as leaky gut, and 61% lower markers of systemic inflammation compared to those who did not follow this type of morning ritual. Let that sink in for a moment. That is not a small statistical difference. That is the difference between thriving and simply surviving. That is the difference between a 70-year-old who hikes on weekends and one who grips the kitchen counter just across the room. Before we dive into the full countdown, I want to give you a preview of the number 2 item on our list, because it is something sitting in most of your kitchens right now. Something you have probably been using every single day. And yet almost everyone I speak with in my clinical practice is consuming it at the wrong time of day, in the wrong amount, and without the one simple addition that makes it exponentially more powerful for aging gut tissue. We are going to fix all of that today. But first, I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below and tell me 2 things. How old are you, and what is your single biggest health concern right now? Is it joint pain, digestive problems, fatigue that never seems to go away no matter how much you sleep? I personally read every single comment on this channel, and your answers genuinely shape the content I create each week. So please, take 10 seconds right now and drop that comment below. This community means everything to me. Now, let us get into it. Number 5. Warm water with Himalayan pink salt and lemon. Coming in at number 5, and please, do not let its simplicity fool you, is plain warm water with a half teaspoon of Himalayan pink salt and the juice of a quarter lemon. Consumed the very moment you wake up, before anything else touches your lips. I know exactly what you are thinking. Water? Really? That's the big revelation? But hear me out. Because this is not just water, and the specific combination matters enormously for the aging gut. Here is a fact that most people do not know. After the age of 65, your stomach acid production declines by approximately 40% compared to your levels at age 30. That is nearly half your digestive firepower, quietly disappearing over the decades. Think of stomach acid like the quality control supervisor at a manufacturing facility. When that supervisor is present and alert, problems get caught before they cause damage. But when that supervisor is absent or significantly diminished, all sorts of things slip through unchecked. Harmful bacteria proliferate, food is not properly broken down, and nutrients that your body desperately needs simply pass through you without being absorbed. This is why so many adults over 65 feel perpetually tired despite eating well. The food is there, but the absorption is not. The lemon juice in this morning drink gently stimulates the production of hydrochloric acid in your stomach, essentially waking up that quality control system before your first meal of the day, so your body is ready to actually extract nutrition from what you eat. The Himalayan pink salt is equally important. Unlike table salt, which is stripped of most of its mineral content, Himalayan pink salt provides 84 trace minerals, including magnesium and potassium, that your intestinal cells rely on to regulate what are called tight junctions. Think of tight junctions like the locks on the doors of your gut lining. When those locks work properly, dangerous particles cannot slip through into your bloodstream and trigger the systemic inflammation that researchers now connect to everything from arthritis to cognitive decline to cardiovascular disease. Did you know? A study from the University of California, Davis, published in the journal Gut Microbiome, found that seniors who consumed a warm water and mineral salt solution each morning showed a 17% improvement in gut motility, meaning food moved through their digestive system more efficiently in just 14 days. Just 2 weeks. The warm temperature is also not accidental. Cold water causes the smooth muscle of your gut to contract and slow down. Warm water, on the other hand, relaxes the intestinal wall and promotes something called peristalsis, the gentle wave-like muscular contractions that keep everything moving through your digestive tract the way it is supposed to. How to prepare it? The night before, fill a glass and leave it on your nightstand. In the morning, before you even stand up out of bed, squeeze in your lemon juice and add your salt. Drink it slowly over about 5 minutes. Synergy tip: pair this with at least 10 minutes of morning sunlight exposure. Natural light signals your circadian rhythm, and research shows this can amplify your gut motility response by an additional 20 to 30%. It costs nothing and takes almost no effort. Number 4. Fermented ginger tea. Number 4 surprises almost everyone I share it with in my clinical practice. Number 4 is fermented ginger tea, but prepared in a very specific way that most people have never heard of. Ginger has been studied extensively, and most people know it has some anti-inflammatory properties. But here is what the mainstream conversation consistently misses. There is an enormous difference between fresh ginger roots steeped in hot water and fermented ginger, and that difference is especially significant for seniors. Researchers at the Seoul National University College of Medicine conducted a 12-week trial with 120 adults over the age of 65. Those who consumed fermented ginger extract daily showed a 38% reduction in a gut inflammation marker called fecal calprotectin, along with a significant increase in 2 of the most beneficial bacteria families, Lactobacillus and Bifidobacterium. These are the protective microorganisms that line your intestinal wall and produce the short-chain fatty acids your colon cells use as their primary fuel source. Here is why this matters specifically for aging bodies, and this piece of information genuinely changed how I practice medicine. After the age of 70, your population of beneficial gut bacteria, what scientists call your microbiome diversity, declines sharply. Some research suggests that by age 75, the average adult has lost nearly 35% of their microbial diversity compared to where they were at 50. Imagine your gut microbiome like a thriving tropical rainforest. Every decade, a significant portion of that forest is quietly cleared. And what grows in its place is often the wrong kind of vegetation, inflammatory, opportunistic bacteria that crowd out the beneficial species and create the chronic, low-grade inflammation that accelerates aging from the inside out. That internal inflammation is what scientists now call inflammaging, and it is one of the central drivers of virtually every age-related disease. Fermented ginger tea directly addresses this by delivering 2 things simultaneously: the powerful anti-inflammatory compound gingerol, which inhibits the inflammatory enzyme COX-2, the same enzyme that over-the-counter pain medications target, and the live beneficial microorganisms produced during the fermentation process itself. How to prepare it? You can purchase fermented ginger root at most health food stores, or you can easily make it yourself. Combine thinly sliced fresh ginger with 1 tablespoon of raw apple cider vinegar and 1 teaspoon of raw honey in a clean glass jar. Seal it at room temperature for 48 hours. Once fermented, steep 2 to 3 slices in hot but not boiling water, around 170 degrees Fahrenheit, for 8 minutes. This is important. Never use boiling water, because temperatures above 200 degrees Fahrenheit destroy the live cultures you just spent 2 days creating. Drink this approximately 20 minutes after your warm salt and lemon water. Synergy tip: stir in 1 teaspoon of raw local honey after steeping, not before. Raw honey contains prebiotic oligosaccharides, essentially food for the very beneficial bacteria the fermented ginger is delivering. You are feeding the army you are building. Number 3. Cold steeped turmeric golden milk. Now we are moving into our top 3, and number 3 has a personal story attached to it that I think many of you will find very moving. Number 3 is turmeric and black pepper golden milk, but prepared cold steeped overnight, rather than the hot version most people make. I want to tell you about Margaret. She is a 73-year-old retired school teacher from Asheville, North Carolina, who came to see me 2 years ago, barely able to walk from her bedroom to her kitchen without gripping the wall for support. She had been diagnosed with intestinal permeability, severe joint inflammation, and what her previous physicians described as accelerated biological aging. Margaret had tried everything: prescription anti-inflammatories that ended up destroying her stomach lining, probiotic supplements that she could not measure any effect from whatsoever, elimination diets that left her miserable and malnourished. She was exhausted, frustrated, and quietly losing hope. Within 60 days of implementing the cold-steeped golden milk protocol I am about to describe, Margaret reported a 65% reduction in joint pain. Her energy had returned to what she described as feeling like her late 50s, and follow-up laboratory testing showed her C-reactive protein, a key marker of systemic inflammation, had dropped from 9.2 milligrams per liter all the way down to 1.8. That is a level most doctors would consider clinically extraordinary. So what makes this work, and why cold steeped instead of hot? The active compound in turmeric is called curcumin. The problem is that curcumin is what researchers call poorly bioavailable in its standard form. Bioavailability means how much of a substance your body can actually absorb and use, as opposed to what simply passes through you unused. Studies from the Baylor Research Institute found that standard curcumin supplements have bioavailability as low as 1%. 1%, meaning 99% of what you take just passes right through you. But here is where it gets interesting. When you combine curcumin with piperine, the active compound in black pepper, bioavailability increases by 2,000%. And when you cold steep curcumin in full-fat coconut milk overnight, rather than heating it, you preserve the volatile compounds that heat destroys and simultaneously enhance the fat-soluble absorption of curcumin by an additional 40 to 60%, because curcumin requires dietary fat to actually cross your intestinal wall and enter your bloodstream. For aging gut tissue specifically, curcumin works through a pathway called NFKB inhibition. Think of NFKB as a master switch inside your intestinal cells. When this switch is chronically activated, which happens with age and poor diet, it tells your gut to stay in a constant state of inflammation and distress. Curcumin is one of the most potent natural inhibitors of that switch ever identified. Researchers at the MD Anderson Cancer Center found that regular curcumin consumption correlated with a 59% reduction in the inflammatory chemical messengers that drive gut inflammation in adults over 65. How to prepare it? The night before, combine 1 teaspoon of high-quality turmeric powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of freshly cracked black pepper, 1 tablespoon of coconut oil or full-fat coconut milk, and 8 ounces of oat milk or whole milk in a glass jar. Stir vigorously, seal the jar, and refrigerate overnight for at least 8 hours. Drink it cold the following morning as your third morning beverage, approximately 45 minutes after waking. Synergy tip: add a small pinch of cinnamon. Research published in the journal Diabetes Care shows that cinnamon, specifically its active compound cinnamaldehyde, enhances curcumin absorption at the cellular level by modulating insulin sensitivity in your gut lining cells. It is a small addition with a measurably outsized effect. Quick pause here. If you are finding this information valuable, please take 1 second right now and hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. I publish evidence-based content on longevity, gut health, and senior wellness every single week. Your support is what makes it possible for me to reach the millions of older adults who need this information but are simply not finding it from their conventional doctors. It costs you nothing, and it may genuinely change your life. Number 2, green tea. The right way, number 2, is the one I teased at the very beginning of this video, and I promise you, the wait has been worth it. Number 2 is green tea, but consumed in a way that the vast majority of people get completely wrong, at the wrong time, at the wrong temperature, and without the one addition that can amplify its gut healing power by more than 300%. I want you to meet Harold. He is 78 years old, from Scottsdale, Arizona. Harold had been drinking green tea every single day for 15 years, and yet he was still experiencing chronic constipation, bloating after every meal, and what he described as a foggy, heavy feeling that never went away no matter how much green tea he drank. When Harold came to me, I identified 3 critical errors almost immediately. Error 1. He was steeping his tea at boiling temperature. This destroys the delicate catechin compounds, specifically a compound called EGCG, which I will explain in a moment, that make green tea so powerful for the gut. Error 2. He was drinking it immediately after breakfast. This dramatically reduces absorption because food in your stomach competes with the gut receptors that absorb green tea's beneficial compounds. Error 3. He was drinking it plain, without the one critical addition that unlocks its full potential. Within 3 weeks of correcting these 3 errors, Harold's bloating was completely gone. His bowel regularity had normalized. And he told me, and I remember this clearly, he said, "Dr. Lee, I feel like someone turned the lights back on inside my body. So what is the right way? Green tea must be steeped at 160 to 175 degrees Fahrenheit, never boiling for exactly 3 minutes. This lower temperature preserves the EGCG, which stands for epigalloctecin gallate, Researchers at Harvard Medical School identified this compound as capable of reducing intestinal inflammation by up to 47% in a 12-week double-blind trial involving adults over the age of 60. Here is what EGCG does that is truly remarkable. It selectively feeds a specific species of gut bacteria called Akkermansia mucinifila. This organism is responsible for lining your gut wall with a protective mucus layer. Think of that mucus layer like the insulation around an electrical wire. Without proper insulation, the signal gets corrupted. Without your protective gut mucus layer, inflammation leaks out of your intestinal tract and into the rest of your body, affecting your joints, your brain, your heart, and your immune system. After the age of 65, Akkermansia populations decline by an average of 68% compared to younger adults. That is not a small decline. That is one of the primary reasons gut permeability increases so dramatically in older adults. Research from the Université Catholique de Louvain in Belgium found that replenishing Akkermansia through dietary means was associated with a 41% reduction in metabolic inflammation and a significant improvement in gut barrier integrity in adults over 70. The critical addition: add a 1/4 teaspoon of matcha powder to your steeped green tea. Matcha is made from the full ground leaf of the tea plant, meaning you are consuming the entire compound profile, not just what leaches into the water during steeping. Combined with a teaspoon for raw honey and the juice of half a lemon, which lowers the pH of the tea and actually protects the catechins from oxidation during digestion, you are delivering a compound combination that research suggests can measurably reshape your gut microbiome in as few as 7 days. When to drink it? On a completely empty stomach, at least 60 minutes before your first meal, and never within 4 hours of an iron-rich food, because EGCG can bind to iron and reduce its absorption. Timing here genuinely matters. Number 1, the Prebiotic Fiber Morning Tonic. And now we have arrived at number 1. I have been building to this moment throughout this entire video, and if you are still here with me, good. Because this is the one that changes everything. Number 1 is a Prebiotic Fiber Morning Tonic made with curry root inulin, acacia fiber, and a very specific combination of polyphenol-rich berries. The research behind this protocol is some of the most compelling science on gut health and longevity that I have encountered in my entire 30-year career. A landmark study published in the journal Nature Medicine, conducted by researchers at the Salk Institute for Biological Studies, followed 312 adults over the age of 65 for a period of 18 months. The participants who consumed a daily prebiotic fiber tonic showed results that are almost difficult to believe until you understand the underlying science. They showed a 54% increase in gut microbiome diversity, a 39% reduction in systemic inflammatory markers, a 22% improvement in cognitive test scores, because yes, your gut and your brain are directly connected through what scientists call the gut-brain axis, and perhaps most remarkably, a 31% reduction in muscle tissue breakdown, what doctors call sarcopenia, the devastating progressive muscle loss that robs so many older adults of their mobility, their balance, and ultimately, their independence. Let me break down exactly why this combination works so powerfully in aging bodies. Inulin from chicory root is what scientists classify as a long-chain prebiotic fiber. The critical distinction is this: it survives your stomach and your small intestine completely intact and arrives in your colon where your beneficial bacteria are waiting to ferment it. And here is where the real magic happens. That fermentation process produces short-chain fatty acids, bitrate, propionate, and acetate. Bitrate in particular is the primary energy source for your colonocytes, the cells that line your large intestine. Think of bitrate like the electricity that powers a city. Without electricity, the city goes dark. Without bitrate, your gut lining cells weaken, the intestinal barrier breaks down, and inflammation floods out into the rest of your body. After the age of 70, your ability to produce adequate bitrate from dietary fiber declines by approximately 40%, due to a reduction in the specific fermentative bacteria that perform this conversion. By supplementing with fibers that remain fermentable even in a compromised aging microbiome, you are bypassing that deficit and delivering the raw material for cellular repair directly to the site that needs it most. Acacia fiber adds a second complementary dimension, where inulin predominantly feeds bacteria in the deeper colon. Acacia fiber, derived from the sap of the Acacia senegal tree, preferentially feeds beneficial bacteria in the upper colon. Research from King's College London showed that acacia fiber reduced the permeability of the gut barrier by 32% in a double-blind, placebo-controlled trial of adults over 60. The specific mechanism involves the upregulation of tight junction proteins, claudin-1 and occludin, those molecular locks I mentioned at the very beginning of this video. Acacia fiber essentially sends a signal to your gut cells, tighten the locks, reinforce the barrier against the toxins, undigested food particles, and harmful bacterial metabolites that would otherwise drive systemic inflammation day after day after day. The polyphenol-rich berry blend is the final and perhaps most elegant piece of this protocol. Wild blueberries in particular, not the large cultivated variety you typically find in grocery stores, but the small,
intensely flavored wild blueberries contain a class of compounds called anthocyanins that do something truly remarkable. A study from the John Mayer USDA Human Nutrition Research Center on
aging at Tufts University found that wild blueberry anthocyanins increase the production of a protective gut bacteria genus called Bifidobacterium by 61% in adults over 65, while simultaneously reducing the population of Clostridium perfringens, a harmful bacterial species associated with intestinal inflammation and increased risk of colon disease, by 44%. Did you notice what that means? This is a two-directional intervention. Feeding the beneficial while simultaneously starving the harmful. That is extraordinarily rare in nutrition science. Most interventions do one or the other. This does both. The final ingredient, pomegranate juice concentrate. Add 1 teaspoon to your tonic. Pomegranate contains compounds called allegitannins, which your gut bacteria convert into something called urolithin A, one of the most powerful mitochondria-regenerating compounds ever discovered. Mitochondria are the energy-producing engines inside every single cell in your body. Their gradual decline is one of the central mechanisms of biological aging. Urolithin A has been shown in clinical trials to increase mitochondrial function in aging muscle tissue by 40%, which connects directly back to the sarcopenia, the muscle loss that robs so many seniors of the ability to live fully and independently. How to prepare this tonic? Combine 1 tablespoon of organic chicory root inulin powder and 1 tablespoon of acacia fiber powder with 8 ounces of cold filtered water. Stir or blend vigorously until fully dissolved. Then add 2 tablespoons of frozen wild blueberries that you have allowed to thaw overnight, along with 1 teaspoon of pomegranate juice concentrate. Consume this tonic first thing in the morning on a completely empty stomach, and give it 30 minutes before introducing any other food or beverage. Synergy tip: walk for 15 minutes after drinking it. Movement amplifies gut motility and accelerates the delivery of these prebiotic compounds to the lower colon, where they do their most powerful work. You do not need a gym. You do not need equipment. A 15-minute walk around your neighborhood is enough. If you do this every morning for just 7 days, published research suggests you will be able to measure a meaningful change in the composition of your gut microbiome, a reduction in bloating and digestive discomfort, improved bowel regularity, and very often a noticeable improvement in mental clarity and energy levels that many of my patients describe as feeling like themselves again for the first time in years. This is not anecdotal. The science is peer-reviewed, reproducible, and the references are linked in the description below this video. A closing word from my heart. I want to close today with something that comes not from a scientific journal, but from 30 years of sitting across from patients and watching what gut decline actually does to people, not just physically, but to their sense of who they are. I have seen 70-year-olds with the gut microbiome of someone 20 years younger. People who were hiking, gardening, traveling, laughing, fully present and engaged in their own lives. And I have seen 62-year-olds whose gut inflammation had spread so thoroughly into every system of their body that they had already quietly surrendered the future they deserved. The difference between those two groups was almost never genetics. It was daily choices. It was access to the right information. It was the decision made again and again each morning to give the body what it needs to repair, rebuild, and thrive. You are not too old. There is no age at which the gut stops responding to the right inputs. The research is unambiguous on this point. Whether you are 62 or 84, your microbiome retains a remarkable capacity for positive change when you give it the tools it needs. The morning protocols I have shared with you today are not complicated. They do not require a prescription. They do not require suffering or deprivation. They require roughly 10 minutes each morning, and a willingness to believe that your best years of health are not necessarily behind you. Independence is not just about mobility. It is about feeling like yourself. It is about waking up in your body and recognizing the person who lives there. These protocols, at their core, are about giving you that back. Please subscribe to this channel right now if you have not already, because next week, I am going to be sharing the 5 most dangerous foods that are silently destroying gut health in adults over 60. And at least 2 of them are foods that most people consider completely healthy. You do not want to miss that. And before you go, leave a comment answering this question. Of the 5 morning drinks we covered today, the warm salt and lemon water, the fermented ginger tea, the cold steeped golden milk, the matcha green tea, or the prebiotic fiber tonic, which one are you going to try first? I read every single comment and I cannot wait to hear from you. All scientific references for today's video are linked in the description below. Take care of your gut and it will take care of you.